It's time for us to spend Jed York's money. What's up? Welcome to the Best 49ers Show. We're back after a week hiatus. That's Ryan G. Hensley. I'm Grant Cohn. I want to spend Jed York's money today. I want to tell him what to do and how to operate his franchise because, sure, he's made a lot of money, but he's won as many Super Bowls as I have. So I feel like I can be a consultant. Ryan as well. And also, after that, we're going to get into a very hopeful, positive section of the show, which I don't think we do nearly enough of on the Best 49ers Show. So we're going to talk about all the possible reasons to be hopeful about the 49ers and not just this year, going into the future. But first, Jaire Alexander is available. Jalen Ramsey is available. Does either cornerback move you? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, Jaire Alexander has a little bit of an injury history. I think he's played, 34 games over the last 4 seasons. Here's what I do know. The Niners need a corner. I believe Diamador Lenoir, this is his first year playing CB1. We'll see how it goes. Diamador is one of my favorite players. I do believe in him. Ronaldo Green, this is his second year. A lot of people who have been there, yourself included, and many others have said Ronaldo Green has struggled a little bit in OTAs, which is concerning. Outside of those guys, they got the rookie Upton Stout as a nickelback. And then from there, I mean, not a lot of proven players, including Upton. So to me, last year, the 49ers DB room was, maybe one of their strongest rooms. This year, not so much. I think they need to bring in a veteran corner. As far as like which one, Alexander's definitely interesting. One of the premier corners of the league a few years back, injured quite a bit. And then Jalen Ramsey, obviously another really good corner, tremendous history. So both of them are interesting. There's also CJ Henderson, who has struggled with injury, but he's much younger, 26 years old. He's a veteran that the 49ers could probably sign at the vet minimum. He was a 9th overall draft pick by the Jaguars in 2020, first-round talent who's struggled because of injury. So there's a lot of corners that are out there that the 49ers should definitely explore, and they need to bring one in.
Yeah, I mean, I like Diamador Lenoir a lot. I think he can be a number one cornerback, but that's about all they have for certain right now. Ronaldo Green played well at times as a rookie, but that doesn't mean he can do it again. Then after him, what do they got? Upton Stout hasn't proven anything. Trey Brown probably shouldn't be playing. So, yeah, I think they absolutely need another cornerback. And the fact that there are 2 available right now is great. And it's interesting. I think that Saleh has connections to both of them. He was on the Jaguars when Ramsey was a rookie. So was Gus Bradley. So Gus Bradley was Jalen Ramsey's head coach for a year. They should know each other. I mean, they do know each other. And then Jaire Alexander, once Saleh got fired last year by the Jets, he went over to the Packers and was kind of a consultant for them for a while. So he should know Jaire Alexander pretty well, and he should know why the Packers don't want him and why it didn't work out. And if there's like something there, the way there was with Jason Verrett 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, that was such a huge, tremendous success for the 49ers and for Saleh to be able to find a corner who had been elite but had not been able to stay healthy. I mean, his injury issues were way worse than Jaire Alexander's, and they got him to play at like an all-pro level for a full season in 2020. Maybe they feel they can do that again with him in particular.
Yeah, and if Robert Saleh, he knows both these players. If he wants one of them, they should go get them. I would imagine they will. I think corner is honestly on the defense. Safety is a little bit of a concern right now with the injury to Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown coming off a rough season. So the safety is a little bit of an issue, but right now I'm more concerned, I think, with corner because if Diamador Lenoir, knock on wood, something happened to him, like what do they got? It's a little bit concerning. And who knows, like with Ronaldo Green, if that was like just a rookie show out and what he's going to look like throughout the course of his career. We see a lot of rookies that do really well and then they fall off. Like Jair Brown is a perfect example of that. So to me, I'd feel a lot better if the 49ers went out and signed a proven corner, either one of these dudes.
Yeah, I agree. And like with Saleh too, he doesn't really know Diamador Lenoir. Like he's never coached Diamador Lenoir. and he might, watch the tape and say, I think he'll be better if we just play him outside so we can focus on one position. And maybe he's right, but we've watched Lenore maybe a little bit closer than Salah. And to me, I think one of his biggest, what makes him so valuable is the fact that he can play in the slot and he's so good at it. He can play both. But to
Right.
take him out of the slot, okay, if you have a great nickelback, and maybe Upton Stout is a great nickelback, but he hasn't shown that yet. He's just a rookie, and it's highly probable, definitely possible, that Salah week 6 will look up and be like, "Man, you know what? I need Lenore in the slot," getting crushed there. And then you could have someone like Jaire Alexander out there along with Bernardo Green on the outside or Jalen Ramsey. I would prefer Jalen Ramsey, even though he's older than Jaire Alexander. I mean, he played 17 games last year, and he's still damn good, if not as good as he used to be.
Corner is one of those positions where you can really just ruin a whole game. You could lose a game for your team if you're not a good corner, and it's risky to just roll with some guys that you have no history on. So if the 49ers are serious about this season and
Isaiah Oliver's a
competing,
great example, right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and just rookies in general, like just throwing out a rookie like, "Hey, we believe he's gonna be good." Like, how do
Or
you
Trey
know,
Brown.
man? Yeah. Yeah, I like playing rookies at certain positions, and it's a little less risky at certain positions, but at corner, it's pretty sketch, man. So you need somebody that you can really rely on and trust. And I think the 49ers need to go after a free agent. But I don't I would say don't sleep on CJ Henderson, man. He's only 26 years old. This would be a vet minimum contract if the 49ers could get him for maybe a little bonus or something like that. But he was drafted 9th overall in 2020. He's got the talent. He's just been injured, like all of these guys. I would rather roll my dice on a younger dude that's cheaper if you're going to do that, or hell, bring both of them in. They definitely need to make a move at corner. So CJ Henderson's a guy they could bring in with Jaire and Jalen Ramsey.
It's a great call. And I feel like the Niners kind of like opened up Pandora's box a little bit by trading for Bryce Huff, because before that move, you looked at it and you're like, they're kind of building their team for 2026. They don't want to bring in any vets who will get in the way of young players. This is all about getting young players on the field to get as many reps as possible so they can grow. And then you bring in Bryce Huff and give him $8 million. It's like, oh, so you are making win now moves. Cool. Because you have this super easy schedule and you're hosting the Super Bowl this year. Like, why not give it a shot?
Yeah.
The only team standing between you and the division title really is like the Rams and 37-year-old Matthew Stafford. Like, give it a shot. So you bring in Bryce Huff. That's a big win now move. What about one more? How about a cornerback? You obviously need one. And Robert Saleh, you brought in Richard Sherman at about 30 years old, had success. You brought in Jason Verrett, had success. These two guys are right in that lane.
I agree
Or
100%.
CJ Henderson.
You made a great point with the Huff thing. Before they brought in Huff, I was like, all right, it's a rebuild year. This is a 2-year plan. Then they signed Huff, and you're like, okay, that's like more urgency being shown there. So now, like, let's go all the way with it. Like, let's bring in that corner. Let's bring in possibly a safety. There. I would even argue, even though I have no clue what these young running backs are going to look like, so I could be way off. One of these guys could be a stud, but I'd even look at possibly bringing in another running back in case Christian McCaffrey can't go. So there's a couple positions I look at it the same way.
Yeah, and I bet if we had Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan on the show right now, off the record, only we could talk to them. I bet and we asked them like, hey, would you like Jaire Alexander or Jalen Ramsey? I bet they'd say, hell yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Why not? It's not our
Mhm.
money. But the question is, Jed York and his parents, they've really patted themselves on the back for spending so much money this offseason on players they already had and didn't necessarily need to give new contracts to, but they did. Do you think they're sort of like tapped out with the spending? I mean, Kittle, Warner, Purdy, plus the 2 soccer teams. Do you think enough is enough from their eyes?
I mean, what's the goal here? Like, are you trying to save money or are you trying to win a Super Bowl? I mean, I would hope that it's not enough. I think what if I'm Jed York, what I want to do is avoid bad contracts and avoid paying people that maybe are not fully bought in and contribute to the team chemistry. I think those are the type of contracts that I would want to avoid. But paying good players money should always be on the like if they're good, you got to pay them. That's what they cost. They should be definitely willing to invest in players that are going to help you win a Super Bowl. So I would hope that's not the case.
I mean, I feel like the Yorks have shown that they will go out and spend. Like, they're not like the Cowboys. The Cowboys will spend money on their own players, but they won't really go out and bring in free agents. And it makes you feel like, man, you're just signing people that you can sell jerseys for, but you don't really want to like make the extra step and go all in. The Niners aren't really like that. I mean, we saw last year, they thought they were the contender of contenders, and they went and signed a bunch of veterans that they, regretted signing, but they tried. And I think so when they think they're in position to be a serious contender, they spend not just on their own players. Does Jed think they're really in position to be serious contenders this year? I mean, yeah, you brought back Robert Saleh and you got Bryce Huff, but the offensive line is worse. You have $95 million in dead cap, and you're still heavily reliant on Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, and Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I wonder if Jed York's thinking like, yeah, I mean, I want to fill the stands and I want to be competitive, but like, come on, what are we really expecting this year?
I think I'll be real, man. I think Jed York thinks they can win a Super Bowl every year as long as Kyle Shanahan's the coach. I think that's how he thinks. So, yeah, I don't think he thinks, oh, no, this is a waste year. I think he believes in Kyle and John Lynch, and as long as he has them, he believes he can win a Super Bowl. I think he does think that.
That's the first thing you said today that I strongly disagree with.
Yeah.
But I love you. I think
it's all right.
I wonder if Jed's starting to waver with his belief in Kyle and John. And maybe I'm like the boy who cried wolf because I've been sort of like waiting for this for 9 years. But all I know is last year was awful. A lot of people got fired. Brock Purdy got an extension. So to me, Jed and his parents really put their confidence into the quarterback. And I wonder if they feel like as long as we have Brock, we're in position to be contenders. But I don't know. I wonder if they feel the same confidence in Kyle that they felt 3 years ago. I mean, it was one of the worst seasons of his career. Maybe it was a one-off.
If I'm Jed York, I probably believe in Kyle to make this a competitive team over believing in Brock. If I'm Jed York, I think Kyle has struggles finding an elite quarterback. I put out the list of the 49ers quarterbacks under Kyle Shanahan. It's not it's kind of a motley crew of dudes. If I'm Jed York, I believe more in Kyle's ability to compete, but not in his ability to find a quarterback. So, I'm not a big Kyle guy, right? Like I struggle imagining him actually winning the big game, but I think Jed York loves that guy. I think he loves Kyle Shanahan. I think they are like, he wants, like, that's his buddy, man. They hang out and they have wine. Their wives kick it together. I don't think Kyle's going anywhere.
I'm just telling you, man, I was at the owners' meetings and I was kicking it with Kyle and I was kicking it with Jed and I was drinking with both of them and they didn't kick it with each other one time. I don't know. Maybe they missed. No, maybe I turned my back, went to the bathroom. They like ran over to each other, hugged, whatever. But I didn't see it. I saw Jed over here and Kyle over there, and they just were in different orbits. And maybe that meant nothing. But I feel like that like hanging out, socializing thing was from like 3-4 years ago. And they've lost a second Super Bowl, and last year happened, and they gave Brandon Ayuk all that money, and it was kind of Kyle's fault that they gave him all that money, and they brought Robert Saleh back, and they're so excited about having Robert Saleh. I don't know. I wonder if he's like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Do you think that was more because just my read on it without being there is more like Jed would have loved to kick it with Kyle in that situation. Maybe Kyle didn't want to. Wanted to hang with the cool kids a little bit.
Saying Jed's not cool?
I don't think Jed's very cool, man.
Yeah. Well, because he's a billionaire, right? You can't like unbillionaire a billionaire. But
Yeah.
I will say, like, Jed tries a lot harder to be normal than Kyle does. Like, if you were in a room with Jed and Kyle, you could talk to Jed, and Jed would want to talk to you. He'd want to know your name. He'd want you to think that he's a normal guy, even though no one would ever think Jed's a normal guy, right? Because he's a billionaire. He owns the 49ers. But he would try. Like, Kyle probably would be like, I don't know you. Who are you? Someone
he
intercept this guy for me.
He definitely knows me.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, watches the show. Dave
mean,
Sims, Patriot Builders of Montana says 2 of the best in the biz. Love you guys. Grinding.
what's up, Dave?
Grinding. Dave Barclay says, I'll be
One day.
one day I'll be member for 100 months. We'll be old. I don't know why I couldn't read that, but we will be old at that time. 100 months.
Man, 41 months. That's almost 4 years.
It's almost 4 years. I can't believe I'm doing it this long. Ryan Kessler says, I saw and met Mac Jones at Original Jones in North Beach this weekend. He was such a nice guy, rooting for him. Can we just talk about what a good restaurant Original Joe's is? Have you been to Original Joe's?
I have not.
Oh, it's a scene. It's great.
What,
I recently made Joe's Special, which is a nice, healthy dinner that you can. It's like ground beef with a little spinach and some onions. It's egg.
only one location?
I think there might be more, but I don't know if
Yeah,
there's one in Sacramento. But the original one is in North Beach.
I'll check it
Juan
out.
Sola says, who do you think the Niners will be running back 2 for the Niners this year?
Oh, it'll be Garendo, but he's not. To me, he's not like an every down back. That's one of the things. Maybe we'll save it for later on in the show that I'm excited to see.
Sure, absolutely. Juan Solo been a member for 13 months. Thank you very much. That's more than a year. All right, another thing that I've been floating around out there, the Brandon Ayuk stuff. I'm not taking sides. He seems like he has beef with something or someone. Not sure who, not sure why, but he could be totally justified. I wonder if he doesn't want to be on this team as much as he used to be. I wonder if it would be best for both sides to get, a fresh start. And I wonder if the Niners called the Washington Commanders and offered Brandon Ayuk for Terry McLaurin, if the Commanders might entertain that proposal. Would you?
Well, there's a lot with this situation right here. Like one of the things I heard that I really didn't talk about because I don't like talking about things I hear because no one believes I hear anything anyways, which I totally get.
I do.
Right?
I know you
my
do.
hat says Linder on it, so I completely understand why you wouldn't believe me. But something I heard going into last season was that Ayuk and Debo have a little thing where, partly like Debo wanted to be number one, get back to my old number one. I'm the number one guy. Like there's a little bit of a contention between the two dudes, is my understanding. Right. A little passive aggressive relationship is what like they, to their face and to each other, they're cool, but really it's like a little bit of a competitive thing. So there's that dynamic.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, Ayuk went on that podcast with Ryan Clark and said it's like, I'm the best true wide receiver on the team. Like it's not like he was like, nah, man, I love Debo. He's my big bro, taught me everything. Nah, none of that.
And after the Super Bowl, don't forget what got you here. Who got the targets? Debo did. Who didn't?
Debo did.
Brandon Ayuk. Right. Don't
Correct.
forget what got you here. So he was not happy that Debo was getting all the love in the Super Bowl and he didn't get any. Then there's the other aspect.
You think Ayuk might not want to go reunite with Debo? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just think it's a weird. It's not as friendly as it may appear.
Yep.
It's a little bit more competitive than people realize. The other thing though is Brandon Ayuk, 100%, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Would much rather play with Jaden Daniels than Brock Purdy. I think that's pretty evident. That's his boy. That's his best friend. They played in college together. He talked about if he can go anywhere, that's where he'd want to go. So I think if you're Brandon Ayuk, you're like, man, I would love to go there. The Debo thing kind of makes you weird, but whatever.
So Debo could be a 1-year rental in Washington, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. So
Ayuk could be there for the long haul.
Yeah, and I think ultimately Brandon Ayuk, if he could make a decision on it last year, if the Washington Commanders were trying to get him last year, he would have accepted that over it. Like he didn't want to go to Pittsburgh, didn't want to go to the Browns or New England or any of that.
England, yeah,
right. But if the Commanders wanted him, he would have been gone. He would have been on the first thing smoking, as they say back in the day. So
but they didn't.
Right. So,
but now
there's that. Like now we're talking about like what Brandon Ayuk wants, but what should the 49ers do is the question. I fully believe that this is the last year, if that Brandon Ayuk is on the 49ers. And I think they're going to trade him as soon as possible.
Why do you feel that way?
I think the dynamics are off. And if you look at the last 2 off seasons, they tried to trade Brandon Ayuk both times.
Yeah.
Right. They have tried to move on from Brandon Ayuk and failed. And
when asked point blank about it this offseason, they were like, yeah, budget, the The strength of the yen and currency and markets, it's tough.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a good fit personality wise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's too much history there, and I don't. If Brandon Knight comes back this year, balls out, and all of a sudden becomes a company first guy, then maybe they can resolve whatever issues they've had in the past. But I really don't see that happening.
Debo seemed like the kind of guy who could like go through all the negotiations and get upset, but then like let it go and move on. And I don't know that Brandon is capable of letting it go and moving on. It seems like he's holding on to some grudges or some bad feelings from I don't know, maybe what was said during the negotiations. I'm just guessing, but it seems like Brandon's the kind of guy who doesn't forget, doesn't really forgive.
True. And the 49ers want to move on from these type of contracts. Also, look at the investment they've made in the draft. They drafted Pearsall, they drafted Cowling, they drafted Watkins. Like they're trying to get younger at the wide receiver position. There's no doubt in my mind that at some point the 49ers will move on from Brandon Ayuk by this time next year. He will not be on the 49ers. So I understand the consideration of, hey, let's trade McLaurin for Ayuk. And it would be an upgrade for the 49ers at least to start the season at minimum. I mean, McLaurin's healthy, so that's always good. But I really want to see the 49ers go younger, cheaper at the wide receiver position. I think it's a position that they've been overspending on the last couple of years with Debo, with Brandon Ayuk, and I would hate to see them spending on McLaurin. Isn't McLaurin 29 years old?
Yeah. But what's unfortunate is like they wouldn't get McLaurin if they wanted McLaurin. Like I don't think Ayuk's worth very much right now. Not
Mhm.
because he's definitely damaged goods and he won't bounce back. No one knows, but because of his contract and the injury. I think most teams, I mean, if they were going to trade Ayuk, they tried in the offseason before they gave him that huge option bonus. No team wanted him. I mean, I think they'd have to trade him for like a 6th round pick. I mean, you're sort of asking someone to take the contract off your hands, which I'm not sure any team's going to want to do that until he plays a few games
Mhm.
or maybe till next year. I don't know. You don't do you think he wants to be on this team anymore? Best guess?
No. I think he'd rather be on the Commanders,
Yeah.
100%. And so when he hears this rumor, I think he's like, "Let's
Let me
do it."
ask you this though. So there's obvious resentment, I guess was the word. When he's posting this stuff on social media, it seems pretty clear he would like to leave and he has negative feeling towards someone or something. Do you blame him for that? Do you blame Kyle for that? Do you blame Brock for that? How do you sort of, make sense of this deteriorating relationship potentially?
I don't blame Brock. No. That one I can cross off the list. I think Brandon Ayuk is an interesting guy, interesting player that he takes real emotional intelligence to coach properly. And I don't think Kyle has that. And so I think Kyle's inability to coach players differently based on their personality and their psychology, which doesn't come easy for all coaches. It takes a certain coach to understand and recognize how to coach certain players. I just don't think it's a good match. The way that Brandon Ayuk was coached early on in his career by Kyle Shanahan, I think just kind of you know set the divide. And a guy like Brandon Ayuk, I think, who plays with a chip, if you mess with him, he's going to remember that for a long time. I think that's kind of the issue that's going on right there. So I blame Kyle and Brandon equally, and I think the way Brandon has handled himself hasn't been the most professional over the last 2 off seasons, and it seems a little bit like I get that you were frustrated with your early career with the 49ers, but they paid you a lot of money now, right? Like now it's time to put on your business hat and go be the pro. You're making a ton of money. Um, I don't know. I just think it's a bad match. It's just, it's not necessarily about who's to blame. It's about it doesn't work. And it's time to move on.
No, it is about who's to blame. One more. You said it's not on Brock. Why do you think it's not on Brock?
I don't see what Brock has to do with it. Like Brock is a good quarterback, good leader. He, like the whole like, don't forget what got you here. That's not a shot at Brock.
Are you
Brock,
sure?
we all know Kyle's offense is predetermined who your first read is, who your second read is. I mean, all offenses are, but Kyle's very specific about this guy's going to be open right here. This guy's going to be open right there. Um, I think Brock was just following orders. I think that was directed to Kyle Shanahan.
Possible, because there was that third down at the end of the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl, and then there was that third down in overtime in the red zone where Ayuk was open both times and the pass went to Jennings. Maybe Ayuk feels that the play call was for Jennings, or maybe Ayuk feels that the quarterback decided to throw to Jennings under duress. I have no idea what he feels. But all I know is that, like, a lot of times a quarterback and their number one wide receiver are like best friends. Like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Been friends since college, still friends. When Jamar Chase was trying to get the Bengals, who are cheap, to finally pay him, Chase was in the media being like, "What are we doing? This is stupid. We got to pay this guy." Brock wasn't really like that. He was like, "Yeah, I love Brandon. We'd love to have him here, but I also trust the front office and whatever they do, I support." Um, that seemed kind of strange. And then Ayu got married this offseason, didn't invite Brock, invited Juszczyk. Juszczyk was there, but Brock wasn't.
I don't think they're.
I
Don't get
don't
me
know.
wrong. I don't think they're friends. But I will say this: Brock Purdy's the reason. If Brock Purdy wasn't a quarterback for the 49ers, I mean, maybe someone else would have been a quarterback. But Brandon Ayuk's best year, the year before he got paid, Brock Purdy was the one throwing him those passes. So I mean, there should be some gratitude in that regard. Now,
But
I don't think
couldn't
they're friends.
I'm Brandon Ayuk's agent right now. I'm his advocate. Shouldn't Brock feel the same way? I mean,
Yeah, you
I
should.
mean, Brock's best season came with Ayuk. Look what
Right.
happened when Ayuk wasn't there last year. I'm team Ayuk right now, just for the sake of the argument.
Well, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right? Like those both
It's
both
true.
statements can be true.
That's true.
So I just
Mutual
think,
gratitude is always good.
yeah, right. Yeah,
It's helpful.
I think I don't think Brandon looks at Brock like he looks at Jaden Daniels, but I also don't
Mhm.
think he blames Brock for, I think the frustration, let me put it this way. I think the frustration that BA has is more with Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, when Purdy comes out and he's like, "I want to get my negotiation done as soon as possible because I don't want any drama." I mean, wouldn't you take that as a personal shot if you were Brandon Ayuk? Like, "Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that. I was the
Yeah.
problem last year. Yeah, let's all blame me for last season. It was my fault that you sucked last year, Brock. Blame me. Yeah, I'll take it. I'd be pissed. I'm sensitive though. Maybe I'm just like Brandon.
I think Brandon Ayuk thinks Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, not on the level of Jaden Daniels, but I think he thinks he's a good quarterback, a good person, nice guy. They don't have a ton in common. They're not good friends. I don't think he blames Brock necessarily for anything as much as he blames Kyle. That's my summary of it.
That's fair because it seems like when asked about his relationship with Brock, he's essentially said nice things, although I don't think they've talked about the relationship in a while. I asked Brandon about his relationship with Kyle at the Super Bowl before they lost, before he got 6 targets, and he was like, "It's different. It's different. That's my dog, but it's different." And I was like, because I asked the same question for Trent Williams and Nick Bosa and Debo Samuel, and they were like, "Oh, that's like a friend of mine. Like that's a guy that we're going to be talking long after I retire about topics that are not even football, all of them." And Brandon was like, "It's different." Oh, okay. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Brandon Ayuk is very stuck in his ways, I think, man. For better or for worse. I think he has opinions and he's not. I don't think he has any problems with Brock Purdy personally, or even as a quarterback. I just don't think he probably believes that he's like some elite quarterback. Like he probably believes that his best friend Jaden Daniels is. And I bet you last year he was watching that playoff run, watching his best friend Jaden Daniels do his thing, and was like, "Man, I would love to play for the Commanders." And I think that's the truth. So, whether the 49ers make it happen or not, I'm not sure. I think what the 49ers probably should do is uh, keep Brandon Ayuk on the team for now. Let him demonstrate to the rest of the NFL that he is a good wide receiver and healthy again, and then trade him before the draft next season.
Yeah, I feel it. Look, all I know is I grew up on Steve Young. That's my favorite player of all time.
Mhm.
And, you know, Purdy kind of started this. He got married last offseason, and I'm pretty sure Ayuk wasn't there. And all I'm saying is Steve Young, greatest player I've ever seen ever, all time, better than Joe Montana. I never saw Joe Montana play. I'm pretty sure when he got married, Jerry Rice was there. I'm willing to bet $1.50 Jerry Rice
Yeah.
was there. Because Steve always went out of his way to make Jerry Rice his best friend. Did they have a ton in common? Maybe. Or was Steve just like a super smart, savvy leader on the team that knew he needed to have Jerry Rice be his best friend? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was both. But that's how Steve handled it. I'm just think like, Brock, you're really good. You're a good leader, but there's like this next level, this next layer to leadership. And it's like making sure Brandon Ayuk is freaking happy. That you have the power to do that in so many different ways, as long as he's going to be here.
It is a good point, man. You could, when you're the highest paid player on the team, when you're a quarterback, it is a little bit of your responsibility to do this stuff. And so, Brock could have, should have, maybe invited them. And at minimum now, like, let's figure out how to build that relationship where it's at now. But you never know. I mean, maybe he invited him and BA said, nah, I'm good.
True. That is
You know?
true.
Yeah.
Life is funny like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if that's the case, if BA just is, you can't connect with him and he's his own guy, and they shouldn't have extended him until you got to trade him. So Terry McLaurin, that would be wonderful. Don't think it's going to happen. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, I like him. I don't know, man. I don't really want to pay old wide receivers or wide receivers in general. The only wide receiver I really would be comfortable playing is Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, because he's going to get paid like a tight end because he runs like a tight end when really
Mm-hmm.
he produces like a wide receiver. Christian Ayala says, will Alfred Collins be ready week 1? It's a great question. I haven't seen him do anything yet, and he's a big guy, and it's a calf injury, which doesn't sound particularly casual. So I'd like to know. We'll see.
What's good is, they can roll with Huff and Mikael Williams. Mikael Williams can play inside, so they can roll it that way if they need to.
They could absolutely. All right, let's play some more or fewer, more or less, as they say. We got NBA Finals edition. Who do you think's going to win this series?
I don't know, man. I can't go against Halliburton, man. He's been coming through. Like, he might not, like, he's 17.5 points or whatever he might get. But at the end of the game, when it's on the line, he's going to come through. So
he seems like he's super duper clutch.
Yeah. Oklahoma seems like the better team. They've better team throughout the year, but Halliburton has been on this clutch run that I haven't seen. And I don't know. Well, he's had like 3 cut game winners in the playoffs this year. So
more or less on the 17.5.
More than, obviously.
So, okay, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, huge game last night, but they set the bar high for him. 34.5 now for Shai Gilgeous in
less
at home. Less. Yeah. That's a lot of points.
A lot.
Okay. How about Andrew Nembhard? 7.5 points.
I don't like his last name, so I'm going to say less.
But they won't give him hold on. Do we have the option?
It says less.
I don't like his last name either, but that's why I'm going to say more, because I don't like his last name.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I don't really. Okay. What about Aaron Wiggins, Andrew's little brother? 6.5. He exploded for 18 last night, but he had 3 the night before that.
Nah.
Sorry, Aaron. We don't believe in you. Okay, one more guy. Benedict Mathurin. 8.5 points.
What do you say? What's your gut feeling telling you right now?
Less.
There we go.
So my gut said. I had to listen to my gut. That's not my gut talking. Okay.
That's the answer.
That's it. Those are the picks. Thought that's the flex. No, I'm feeling confident though. 40. 45. Oh yeah, to win 360, submitting the lineup. Download the app yourself. Use promo code Cohn, play 5, win 50 instantly. I'm going to be giving away some signed jerseys soon. And to get it, you're going to have to use this promo code. So download the app today. All right, Ryan, it's time to give the people what they want, man. Positivity, hope, optimism for the future. It's why they come to us, because they know of all the Niners content creators, we are the most prolific with our praise and authentic as at the same time, because it comes from the heart. So
It's
let's
what we're
give as
known
many
for.
reasons for optimism as we can.
I think it's what we're known for,
Oh yeah,
is
absolutely.
being positive.
Sunshine and roses.
Honestly, though, like it is June 9th,
Mhm.
2025 right now. And this is the optimistic time of year, man. And there's a lot of things that I am hopeful about, a lot of unknowns, which helps it. I got like 10 of them, man. Where do you want to start? One at a time?
Yeah, why don't we go back and forth? I have like 2, but I like to think on my feet, so I'm gonna say I have 10 as well.
All right. You could just use mine. We'll just say we
Okay.
thought of them together.
All right.
Uh, I'm going to start with this. We were talking about wide receivers, man. I'm going to start with this young wide receiver core. I'm
Mm.
hopeful that Ricky Pearsall takes a step forward. A little concerned about his injury, but I like what I'm hearing from Jordan Watkins. I like what I'm hearing about Jacob Cowan. There's guys like Isaiah Nayer, Junior Bergen, Isaiah Hodgins, these big body dudes. David Lombardi said Tariq Owens is going to be a breakout player this year. So there's that as well. There's a
From
lot
my high
of
school.
look, in all seriousness, I want to see the 49ers go younger and faster and therefore healthier at a lot of positions. And this wide receiver group is intriguing to me. The 49ers invested quite a bit in it. And I want to see what they can do, man. I think Debo was washed. You're hearing stories coming out of Washington, D.C. that he's been getting locked up by rookies in practice. So I think moving on from Debo, going with one of these younger dudes is exciting to me.
Yeah, Debo's gone with the wind. Goodbye. I mean, no, nothing personal, but I think he cost him that Super Bowl. And again, he didn't throw the ball to himself, but the fact that the Niners decided that that game was going to be a Debo game cost them the Super Bowl. So the fact that they can't make that decision anymore, because anytime he was on the field, Kyle Shanahan was like, God, he's so good. So that's huge. That's reasons for optimism in the present and the future. Um, to me, you're entering year 9 of Kyle Shanahan. Like, the future isn't as bright as it was 5 years ago. We've seen Kyle Shanahan. He looks 20 years older. Like, there are some real questions here, but Salah's back. And so now I think it's the Niners have put themselves in a position where if things don't work out with Kyle, you know who the replacement is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Salah. He's here now. So what they can do is see how it goes for the next year, 2, 3. You know, see who the better coach is. You have a up close look at both of them on the same team again. Now Salah has head coaching experience. Is the offense way better than the defense? Is the defense way better than the offense? Is one guy the clear leader of the team, the clear emotional engine of the team? Like, if that's the case, if one guy's burnt out and one guy's, ascending, easy decision. I feel like that's a good place to be, because what Kyle always had as like in his back pocket is anytime he messed up and you say, well, man, this is enough with this guy. He's the reason. Got to get a new head coach. Be like, well, who are you going to find? Who's better than me? Who are you going to get? Robert freaking Saleh. He's here already.
Yeah, Robert Saleh was one of the main guys on my list. So there's a couple of it, like ways to look at it. The way you just looked at it, as far as like the future could be here already with Robert Saleh if they move on from Kyle Shanahan. But also Robert Saleh being here, I think allows Kyle Shanahan to focus more on what he's really good at, which is the offense. So that's another reason I'm really excited. I like Robert Saleh's personality much better than Kyle Shanahan's. He is definitely, to me, personality wise, the kind of head coach I would want for my team. Now he's going to have to figure out who his offensive guru is if they do move on from Kyle, because he's the defensive guy. But as far as like this coming season, going from Nick Sorensen to Robert Saleh is like it's like going from driving a Pinto to a Porsche, right? Like it doesn't get any different than that. So that's a huge reason to be excited. I know that this team is young and he's got to work with some young dudes, which is actually exciting and hopeful to me also. But having him here really makes me feel a ton better. I said it before the offseason started that the number one thing the 49ers could do this offseason is get Robert Saleh, and they did. And so that's another reason why I'm excited and hopeful about the season.
Saleh seems to embrace like the roles and the duties of being a head coach more than Kyle does. Like, Kyle is a head coach and wants the credit for being the head coach and the money, but it seems like all the tedious stuff, the the leadership, the talking to the media, the emotion, the positivity. He's like, it's beneath me. It seems like he thinks being the best offensive coordinator in the league is enough. And I don't know that he's the best offensive coordinator in the league anymore, but he's essentially a coordinator at heart, uh, who's always going to be the head coach because he's Kyle Shanahan. So it's good to have a defensive coordinator who has energy, is positive, is a leader, wants to be those things. Like, that's great. They really balance each other out really well. So
He's got the
yeah,
emotion, he's got the scheme, he's
the
got the
scheme,
leadership, he's got the
the brain.
energy. Like, we're going to see, like Fred Warner talked about how he's learning things that he has learning new things for the first time in years. So the defense is going to look different than it has in the past too, which is exciting. So yeah, Robert Saleh is a huge reason for optimism.
Yep. Then another one, like even the ownership, like they've never won a Super Bowl. So they don't necessarily know what it takes, like the Eagles do. But I think we've seen that they will, they're serious about making money. They're super serious about making money and they're good at it. And they know that to make money, they have to spend money on this team and on soccer teams. Like, I think they're never going to be like the Miami Dolphins or the Jacksonville Jaguars, where it's like, you know what? This team, these owners just aren't really interested. They're very interested. I don't know how good they are or if they're ever going to accomplish the ultimate goal, but they'll always put themselves in a position to have a chance, even this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good one. A lot of mine centers around just new looks and young players. Like also something I'm hopeful and excited about is the young running backs that the 49ers have. Like they moved on from Jordan Mason. We know that Isaac Guerendo is going to make big plays. If Isaac Guerendo is healthy, he's going to make big plays. The question surrounds Christian McCaffrey. Isaac Guerendo is not a every down back, in my opinion, but he's talented and will make big plays. But what I'm excited about is figuring out who that the JP Mason replacement is going to be. I'm really looking forward to, like, when we get to training camp and preseason. I can't wait to see what Jordan James looks like and Corey Kiner and Israel Abanikanda. I really want to see what these young running backs look like because there's a high possibility that one of these guys has to be a dude, and based on track record, is a dude. And I'm looking forward to seeing who that is.
Garendo is so interesting because I mean, we've seen him play. He averaged 5 yards a carry. He's super explosive. He had very little feel for actually playing running back, but like still, Raheem Mostert was a special teams gunner convert who learned on the fly and wasn't like the most, I don't know, like instinctual guy, shifty guy, but he became pretty decisive and a good fit in this outside zone scheme and was really good. So Garendo could do the same thing. He just is kind of like Mostert in the sense that he seems like he's hurt all the time. And I'm looking at his numbers. He had 84 carries last year, ended the season on a cart. In college, he was in college for 6 years. He had 231 carries in 6 years, 132 in his final season at Louisville. Jordan James had 233 carries last year at Oregon. So I'm curious to see, like, I think clearly Garendo will be the backup, but he's injury prone. McCaffrey's injury prone. Once Jordan James gets his shot,
Yeah.
and the Niners go through running backs, I mean, all of them, he's going to get his shot. I'm curious to see if he holds on to it because he seems durable. He might not be the next Jordan Mason, but he might be similar to Elijah Mitchell.
To me, if Christian McCaffrey misses 5 games or more, knock on wood, hopefully he doesn't, Jordan James will end up with more carries than Isaac Guerendo, in my opinion. I really believe that that's going to be the case. And I went and watched film on Jordan James recently because, admittedly, I don't watch a ton of college football. So I went and watched film on Jordan James this past weekend, and I was actually really impressed. I'm going to go watch some Corey Kiner after that, but he looks like a really good player, man. So these young running backs are exciting to me. It's part of the reason I'm hopeful for that. I've been wanting the 49ers to get younger and faster. I've been, tweeting it out, talking about it for 3 years now, and they are definitely going in that direction in the multiple positions.
Jordan Watkins so interesting to me too, because like just compare him to Ricky Pearsall. They took Ricky Pearsall last year. You're looking at it and you're like, man, I see the vision, and I like the athletic testing, but that's a reach. I'm sorry. He's 24. He didn't have 1,000-yard season in college. He never had more than 5 touchdown catches in a season in college. Like, that is not a first-round pick. And they put this pressure on him. Doesn't mean he won't be good. It's just he'll always have that, like, scrutiny over him. Then you have Jordan Watkins, who's late 4th-round pick, and you're looking at him, it's like, why were you a late 4th-round pick? Like, you're faster than Ricky Pearsall. You had 9 touchdowns last year. You actually were just as productive, if not more productive, than this first-round pick was last year, and yet he went first round and you went. Doesn't matter. At least you have another guy on the roster who's almost just as talented, if not more talented than the first-round pick you got last year. Like, that's great news. These two might be their starters next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I'm hopeful is, like, you look at this team, Brandon Ayuk's probably going to be gone next year. So they're going to have a whole brand new core of wide receivers. Maybe Juwan Jennings will be the only holdover. Then you look at the running back room. Christian's going to be 29 years old. How long is he going to play running back? How long is he going to play for? At some point, they're going to turn the page on that. Even George Kittle signed a 2-year contract. Who knows how long he's going to play for? I'm just excited because it looks like a new era of 49ers. Not that I want to lose Kittle or CMC or any of those guys, but it's exciting to me. It's hopeful to me. Like, you never know what these guys could be. Maybe they're amazing. So I'm looking forward to the younger, faster version of the 49ers.
How would you feel about the Niners right now if they didn't have Robert Saleh? If their defensive coordinator was Jeff Ulbrich?
I think Robert Saleh is the main reason why I'm confident in this defense and in these rookies. Yeah.
A big one. Yep.
Yeah. You tweeted out that it may have been the best offseason move. I think it's up there.
It's one of the best in the league. I mean, I was looking at Bleacher Report came out with an article yesterday on the 25 best moves of the offseason in the league, and it wasn't even top 25. Like, I would think it would be top 15 at least. I mean, the Cowboys getting George Pickens was 11. Like,
Ben Johnson one should be number 1 in my opinion.
That was number 1. And then, like, number 2 was the Commanders going all in and getting Tunsil, yes, and Debo. So, I think, like, number 3 was freaking Geno Smith going to the Raiders. Like, I'd rather have Robert Saleh than Geno Smith.
Yeah. I would put this one at number 2 after Ben Johnson. Yeah. I think this is the second best move in the NFL this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. If the Niners didn't have Robert Saleh, you'd be looking at him being like, what the hell are you doing? Right. But now it's like, oh, no, I trust you. This is going to work out.
Yeah, man. And I got more, brother. What about special teams revamp? Yeah. Outside of Moody still being on the team, the revamp with Bryant Boyer, bringing in a new long snapper, a new punter. They're bringing in all these they got a bunch of players that they signed just for special teams, essentially. So, like, I don't know if the special team is going to be better. It's going to be hard to be worse, but it's definitely going to be different. And so that's something to be hopeful about. It can't be worse than it was last season.
No, it could be a lot better. I mean, they essentially, I think it's funny, why don't we just bring the Jets special teams? Because the Jets special teams were decidedly mediocre. And that's such a huge upgrade over what the Niners were last year. There's no guesswork. You have the long snapper, the holder, the kicker, Greg Joseph. I mean, you know what that trio is going to produce. They had stats last year, so it makes sense. And then not getting rid of Jake Moody. Maybe they hope that one, they can revive his career. Failing that, maybe they think they could trade him for a 7th-round pick in 2027. I don't know.
You never know with that. I mean, that's the one wild card when it comes to special teams that concerns me. But I just think having a new coach and just revamping it, giving a brand new look, a new mentality, a new philosophy on special teams is going to be a great thing for the 49ers, which, is definitely something to be hopeful about. Could have cost them a game or 2 last year. So, that might change things for the 49ers.
I got one. I think Kyle being put on notice a little bit, if he has been. I mean, last year was awful. He didn't get fired, but he didn't get an extension either. His quarterback did. And I think maybe there's the implication like, hey, man, you need to prove that you're the right coach for Brock. not the other way around. Like, we have decided that Brock is the right quarterback for us for the next 5 years, and you're signed for the next 2 or 3. So now this is your opportunity to show that you still got it, that you're not burnt out, that your ideas didn't leave with Mike McDaniel and go to Miami. Because one of the things that was nice about Kyle for years is he had this team of coaches and this brain trust. And most of it's gone now. And he's trying to bring in new guys and teach new guys. And
Yeah.
how much of it is him? So
Yeah.
the positive thing is, like, okay, that he's backed into a corner. He's got some real pressure. And maybe this brings out the absolute best of him. I mean, in 2019, when he'd coming off back-to-back losing seasons, and everyone kind of knows as a head coach, you got to make the playoffs in that third year. What was it, 13-3? I mean, that was maybe the best year we've ever seen from Kyle Shanahan, doing all that with Jimmy Garoppolo. So
Yeah.
maybe we see something like that.
Yeah, speaking of Kyle, he's one of the reasons I'm optimistic. I know that might surprise people, but him having the full offseason, not making the playoffs, coming off a tough year, losing Deebo Samuel, having to adjust his offense to an offense without Deebo Samuel, going through a season where Christian McCaffrey could barely get on the field, you would hope has to wake him up to the possibility that you may need to have an offense that doesn't include Christian McCaffrey, at least as a backup plan. You would think that last season prepared him for that for this season. He looked burnt the hell out last season, and he looks more energized already to me. So I'm hopeful that he gets back in his bag, gets more creative, figures out how to run this offense without Deebo Samuel and possibly without Christian McCaffrey. And here's the big thing, that Robert Saleh effect. Having Robert Saleh run the entire defense, you don't have to think about it at all. You can focus 100% on offense. So, like, that's a reason I'm optimistic for this season.
I think with Kyle, you're always confident that he's going to find a way to move the ball. I mean, his offense is generally ranked top 10, 15, sometimes 5 in yards. He is
The
a
red zone.
yards machine. It's the points.
Yeah.
And in 2023 in particular, they scored incredible amount of points at the number one offense. But Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel scored 33 touchdowns, just the two of them. I mean, it was such a cheat code to have those two guys. You didn't have to give them the ball in the end zone. You could give it to them at the 16, at the 20, and they'd find a way to bust their way across the goal line. Like, what a luxury that they no longer have. I don't think Christian had a grand total of 0 touchdowns last year, and he played 4 games. Deebo's gone. He wasn't that player last year anyway. So Kyle needs to find ways to score touchdowns, but we're talking about optimism here. And I think that the fact that they promoted Clay Kubiak to offensive coordinator that's going to be, and they got rid of Brian Greasy. Everyone had good ideas, and Brian was in there being like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. No, I'm just guessing. But Brian Greasy being out, I didn't like his attitude. He didn't
And
help last year. What was he?
Jordan James, when I watched his highlights, that's a guy that could be effective around the goal line as well. Like, he'll punch it in, man.
Yep.
He'll break tackles. He's physical. He's hard to bring down. So that's another reason to be optimistic around the goal line. And
He had
then
15
second year,
touchdowns last year and 11 the year before that.
yeah, man. He's a scoring machine. That's what I picked up from looking at Jordan James. So if Christian can't go, that's a great option. So I'm hopeful about it. And maybe he also figured out that George Kittle is probably the best red zone target in the NFL, or one of them, and he uses that more effectively this season.
I got more optimism because I'm such a Niners optimist.
Yeah.
So they brought in all these rookies this year, and there's a lot of pressure on them to not only like develop quickly, but be good, because I mean, each guy is replacing someone really important. Like Nick Martin's replacing Dre Greenlaw, and Salah's like, hey, why can't Nick Martin be better than Greenlaw? Like, yeah, like, no pressure, buddy. So helping him fill these shoes is Fred Warner. That's nice. Helping Michael Williams live up to the expectations of being the number 1 pick is Nick Bosa. Helping Upton Stout is Diamador Lenore. Like, that's all great stuff, I would think.
Yeah, and that one of the things I have on here is that the 49ers are now forced to play rookies. Like, that's a reason for me to be optimistic. I think a lot of us have wanted to see the rookies play, but the 49ers are like, you can call it roster politics or, namesake, whatever it is. They want to keep these older veterans playing, and they really don't give rookies opportunity. Well, this year they have no choice. So you're going to have a lot younger, faster players get an opportunity, which is something I'm actually looking forward to.
The fact that McCaffrey's was actually practicing at OTAs, the fact that Bosa showed up, the fact that Warner and Kittle showed up, the fact that Trent Williams showed up for OTAs the second week. I mean, that's not mandatory. He wasn't going to get fined. He actually showed up. That to me, like the fact that Trent Williams didn't retire, the fact that Trent Williams didn't request a trade, that's huge because he's not necessarily like a 49er for life. Like he is a Niner, but he's also kind of a mercenary and he's 37 years old and he wants to win a Super Bowl. And if he felt the Niners were hopeless, I don't think he'd be here. Debo left. Debo requested a trade. And it was, to me, it was obvious that it was his own personal grievances. You're fading. You're going to drop down the depth chart and you want out. You want to make it seem like you're ending the relationship, not them. Fine, whatever, save face. Or maybe we misinterpreted it and maybe he felt, nah, this team's going nowhere. This team's trending the wrong direction. I want to go to Washington. That's a great team. I was wondering if maybe Trent Williams felt that way, and it seems like he doesn't, at least for now. That's good.
Yeah, I mean Trent Williams coming back is fantastic. All the veterans there being in OTAs, it's a different, completely different offseason than it was last year. It's another reason to be greatly optimistic about. And like when I say to be hopeful, I'm not saying the Niners are going to win a Super Bowl this year. I think they're missing a couple pieces still on the offensive line, and an investment is needed there probably next season. So I'm not sure they're going to win a Super Bowl, and I'm not saying that's the case. Just optimistic in general about the future. I think these are some of the reasons. And I got a couple more.
Go ahead.
The 49ers.
Skip my turn.
We skipped your. You got a turn? Go ahead, man.
No, we're gonna Uno it and skip my turn. Go ahead, because I don't have one right now.
All right. The trench. I heard you say this. I think it was last week or something like that. How we always talk about investing in the trenches, and you said the 49ers invested in the trench, which I love. Right? They invested heavily on the defensive side of the ball. We all, we're on the optimistic side right now, so we're not going to talk about not investing in the offensive line, but the fact that they invested so heavily in the defensive line is huge. I mean, the game is won in the trenches, and the 49ers have struggled on both sides, offense and defense, over the last year or so. So that investment is exciting to me.
I like that too. I guess I'm at the point in this conversation where I'm noticing that we haven't mentioned something at all. And I don't know if we will. And I wonder if we can get through a 15-minute segment on all the reasons to be optimistic about the Niners in the present and the future without mentioning this thing, which is kind of big.
Brock?
Mm-hmm. The quarterback. The guy with the $53 million a year contract.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know where to put him. Like, I don't know if Brock is a reason to be optimistic necessarily.
I don't know
I think
either.
we know what we have in Brock.
They would say, right? We got our franchise quarterback. We're locked in. This is the most stability we've had as an organization ever. But I don't know if I feel that way.
I mean, it's good to have stability. That much I would agree on, right? Continuation, like not having to switch things up, no drama. That part is good. But also, like, there is the worry, like, it was a smart contract. It was a good contract, but a lot of players don't do well after getting that contract. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen with Brock, but if you look at the history of, it's got to be a majority of players that get big contracts don't play as well as they did before their contract. That's, I would guess, without doing any research on the data, but that seems like the case. Not necessarily going to be the case for Brock, but it happens often.
Well, it seemed like the contract really mostly heavily weighted 2023. It took 2024 into account a little bit. Like, they can get out of the contract after a couple of years. It's not as, guaranteed as maybe it could have been if he'd played well last year. But it still seems like the Niners are essentially looking at 2024 as an aberration, with a lot of excuses and a lot of things that were out of Brock's control, and that they're essentially expecting him to bounce back. Maybe never play like he did in 2023 because that team was special, but to play way better than he did in 2024. And just because they think that's going to happen and they paid him to make that happen doesn't mean it's going to happen.
If you had to bet money, do you think he's better this year than he was last year?
No. Because his offensive line isn't better. Christian McCaffrey might play more games, but he's older now. And we'll see about Ricky Pearsall. Like, I like Jordan Watkins, but it's been 2 practices. We'll see if either of these guys can actually go out there and play 17 games consistently at a high level. I know Jawan Jennings can. That's one guy, and he was on a 6-win team last year. I know Kittle can, but that's two guys, and he was also on the 6-win team last year. So I think he's going to need a lot more help than the Niners currently have. And I know when he has the help, he can put up really good numbers, but the offensive line's not doing him any favors. And I wonder how many favors the run game's going to do him. Like as a receiver, Christian can be very effective still. He has good receivers, but to me, this team is all about defense and their running game. And when the running game takes off, they make a run, whether it's with Debo or Mostert or McCaffrey. But I don't know if they have that running back this year. We'll see.
You know what? It says reasons for optimism on the bottom of the screen, Grant. So here's what I'm gonna do. I believe
I was veering off into reasons for pessimism.
I gotta bring you back.
It's a problem.
Really back,
man. That's why you're a coach.
Brock Purdy is going to play better this year than he did last
year. I love that.
Yes, he is. I mean, I think it threw Kyle. First of all, Kyle was thrown off by the injury with Christian McCaffrey, and that transpired into Brock's season as well. Losing Debo is a plus. I know there's a lot of Debo fans in this organization. I appreciate what Debo Samuel did for the 49ers when he was in his prime. But last year, Debo was he was a net negative for the 49ers. Losing him is a plus, addition by subtraction. I think I would rather Ricky Pearsall, as little as we know about him, get all of the targets Debo Samuel got last year than what Debo got.
Right. And you're saying like Kyle did Brock no favors last year, which is true. It's so true. I mean, you lose Christian McCaffrey and Debo's no good. Man, you need to figure out a new plan on the fly. And it seemed like in the past he was capable of doing that, but he never did it last year. I mean, where were the quick screen passes? Why was Brock Purdy leading the league in time to throw or time before throwing and air yards per attempt? Like, that's awful. What is going? That's not helping. Meanwhile, you watch the Lions every week. Freaking Jared Goff, who no one respects, getting all these trick plays and easy completions and screens. Ben Johnson look a freaking genius. Like, how do you make him look that smart, Kyle? So maybe Kyle actually gets back in his bag this year and really helps Brock Purdy in ways he didn't last year.
Yeah, man. If you look at the touchdown interception ratio for Brock last year, it's just not nearly what we're used to from like his rookie season when he stepped in and played half a season. Played way better than he did last year. 2023, way better than he did last year. Last year was a low for Brock Purdy. I think at minimum we'll get a medium between the two from Brock Purdy this coming season.
I like that. I like that. Man. And that would be huge for the Niners because they lost so many close games last year. Right? They were like 1-6 in close games. And you figure, man, they can't possibly be that bad in close games again this year, because a big reason they were so bad in those close games was Brock. Jordan Mason had a fumble at the end of the Cardinals. He's also gone. So maybe you figure, like, just law of averages, Brock Purdy and the Niners should be better in one-score games. Instead of winning 6 games, maybe they win 10 games, even with a similar team. And just because you can't possibly be that unlucky.
Well, I mean, think about the last Rams game. Debo drops a pass right in his hands that could have won the game. He's gone.
He did that.
Debo could not catch, man. So I really believe that they're going to be better this year without Debo. The other thing, man, this team has a much easier schedule than they've had in a long time. And, you never can know. Like the Bears game, I think it's going to be much tougher than people realize. So, on paper, it being easier doesn't necessarily mean it is, but it is easier on paper than it was in previous seasons. So that's another reason to be optimistic, I think, for the 49ers.
I got another one, too. I feel like the haters are giving them a break. You know what I mean? I feel like the haters were really going hard on them last year, but then they saw the emotional toll that it took on the team, and the haters have developed a heart, kind of like the Grinch. And I think people are all kind of feel bad for the 6-win season and sort of want the Niners to do better. Even the saltiest of content creators out there would like to cover some playoff games. So maybe the fact that everyone's sort of pulling for the Niners this year, like the little engine that could, maybe that helps them.
Niners are going to make the playoffs this year, man.
Oh, shit.
They are.
Wow.
Book it.
Said it.
Yeah.
Whenever they should, right? Yeah. If they don't win the playoffs, it's not like if they miss the playoffs, you'd be like, well, what'd you expect? I mean, it was a brutal schedule. What'd you expect? They're rebuilding. It's like, No, they fucking blew it again. How do they do that? So yeah, they should definitely be expected to make the playoffs.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Under Kyle Shanahan, they've either missed the playoffs or made the NFC Championship game. Is
Every
that
time.
accurate? Every single
Every
time.
time. That's why I picked them to miss the playoffs, because to me, this team is a lot closer to that than the NFC Championship game. But I'd love to be wrong. Would love to be wrong.
But hasn't it been back and forth?
It has been back and forth. No playoffs, NFC Championship game. One of the two.
So if that
They
pattern
don't do
continues,
first round exits.
that pattern continues, NFC
You got NFC
Championship.
Championship.
Yeah.
Wow. Niners Commanders.
Oh,
What? My brain
Yeah.
just exploded.
that'd be great.
It could be. I mean, the Eagles lost Kellen Moore. He was pretty important to them. Saquon Barkley's also kind of, was he 28? How'd that go for Christian McCaffrey?
He's on the cover of Madden.
How'd that go for Christian McCaffrey?
Don't want to do it.
I would not be surprised if the Eagles fell back next year
Yeah.
at all. I mean,
They
even
probably
with the
won't.
Commanders. The Commanders were like 7-1, or I just made that stat up, but they were like, they were incredible in one-score games last year. What if they regress to the mean was the word I was looking for.
They actually got a tough the Eagles, the Commanders.
Oh my God, you canceled. Can't say that.
And honestly, the Cowboys, man, might be a little sleeper team. I hate to say it.
I mean, Dak is another one. He's either hurt and awful, or he's like an MVP candidate.
I like what the coaches are, what their new head coach. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. I watched some of his press conferences. He's saying all the right things. So that, yeah.
So funny. I like the new head coach. I can't think of his name right now.
I just like what he's saying in the press conferences. Okay.
Fair enough. It's Brian Schottenheimer. It's Marty's kid.
Yeah, little Marty.
Little Marty. Although he's not Marty was like insane. Like vein popping out of his head kind of guy. Not Brian seems like a pretty nice guy. Like,
have you watched any of his press conferences?
No. What'd he say?
So a good friend, Michael Melvin, who comes on my show every Friday, he's a Cowboys fan, but he just sends me clips, and I don't watch most of them because I don't give a damn about the Cowboys. But the things I watch, like, he's just saying the correct things, the things you want coaches to say. So I mean, take that for what it's worth.
7-10.
Probably.
Yeah. I have a feeling that the reason the Cowboys were like winning a lot of games in the regular season under Mike McCarthy is Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn, did he win Coach of the Year last year? If he didn't, he should have. He was great.
I don't know if he did.
I don't know that he did. It was Campbell, right? Dan Campbell. I think Dan Quinn's a better coach than Dan Campbell. How about that?
Yeah, he did a fantastic job out there. Him and
hell of a coach.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Joseph for real says tribalism in sports is fair game. Tribalism within the tribe is dysfunction. Salah is my Bernie Sanders comp, but Jed can still choose the right leader. Wow. I didn't see any of that coming.
You went political there, Joseph.
For real.
For real.
Wow. The young Montana's been a member for 45 months. That is more than 4 years. How about that? Started his membership back when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. Didn't know we'd get here. Dave Barclay says Salah's the only reason for hope this year. It's the biggest one. Silky Smooth Smithers says Kyle knows he's losing leverage. He'll be pressured. I wish you'd put more in there, but it would have cost you more than $2. Kyle knows he's losing leverage.
Kyle has one more year in his contract after this one.
I think he has more than that. Let's see. Let's see what AI says. When does Kyle?
It's 2027. 2 more
contract expire.
2027.
2027. And I think Lynch is through 2026. They're staggered.
So yeah, 1 more year, right? This year's 25, 26. Next year will be 26, 27. So yeah, Kyle's this year and 1 more year.
He might be signed through 2027, but I don't know.
2027. Okay. Well, either way, he's not going anywhere. Kyle will be fine. He'll feel pressure. If Jed York doesn't extend him, he'll start feeling pressure. But knowing Jed York, Kyle will win like the first 4 games and get like a multiple year extension anyway.
What if they have a down season this year, another 6 or 7 win season, and Kyle just decides, you know what? I am burnt out. Look at me. I look 60 years old. I've been doing this since I was 24. I have $150 million. My kids are growing up. I want to retire. What if that happens?
It's possible, man. I feel him. We are actually the same age, man. Me and Kyle Shanahan. And so,
If you could retire right now,
yeah, nah, I'm never going to retire, but I don't know. It's possible. I do think if Kyle Shanahan misses the playoffs this year, there's a chance that he's done this season, but I just don't think it happens. Like, and not only miss the playoffs, I think it would have to be disastrous. I think it would have to be embarrassing. It'd have to be an embarrassing season. If he has an embarrassing season, that's what it would take for Jed York 2 in a row. I think Jed York would probably move on. Outside of that, he's fine.
I just think it's funny. Like last year, Kyle was able to pin it on Sorensen and Schneider when I don't know how true that was. Like to me, you could throw out the whole season, forget what happened in September and October. You were in a position at the end against the Rams. You just beat the Rams at home. And in that particular game that you lost, the defense gave up 12 points. Like Nick Sorensen's group came through with the season on the line, and Kyle's offense didn't. 6 points. It was abysmal. And it was another one of these Deebo Samuel games. Freaking 6 points. Brock screwed up. Kyle screwed up. The whole operation. And then the season was over from that point on. And the rest of the season, the defense falls apart. The wheels fall off. And then you fire Sorensen. All right, fine. You're not going to be able to do that with Robert Saleh. If this team misses the playoffs, everyone's going to be looking at Kyle in the offense, not Robert Saleh and his defense full of 6 rookies.
It's like this is the Grant Cohn show, Grant Cohn channel. This is why I have a problem with that scapegoat stuff, right? This is your channel. If people don't like me as your guest, if I ruin the Grant Cohn channel, that's your fault, right?
That's
like
true.
if Nick Sorensen isn't the guy for the 49ers at defensive coordinator, that's Kyle Shanahan's fault.
That's true.
And so that's why, like, I don't like the whole scapegoat thing. You are in charge of this whole operation, man. So if anything goes wrong, it ultimately falls on you. So you're not going to get that scapegoat cop out this year.
All right, chat. You guys let me know. Is Ryan G. Hensley the reason my views are a little bit down recently? Should we scapegoat him? Have you had enough of Ryan? Let me know in the chat.
They're definitely going to say it. They've been saying that that's the problem, actually. So if you look at their feedback, you'll probably I'm probably out here. This is my last show, guys. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
No, what I really wanted to say is that Ryan's always been good, which is why I gave him Monday instantly. But I actually feel like Ryan has upped his game in a major way. Because I feel like a lot of times, like me included, you get going in something, you get grooved in, and you do what works. Ryan has been putting himself out of his comfort zone consistently for the last 6-8 months. And I think you can see like his whole presentation in every single way is way better. And it was always good. So I want to appreciate you. And I like that people keep pushing themselves because a lot of us can get complacent in this YouTube space.
Everything I do, I just try to get better as I go, honestly. Like I try to constant improvement is like a theory, my whole philosophy. I agree, Mitchell Ness. I'm on the hot seat. It's hot in here. I need a raise. Honestly, I need a raise. I need to be up. I need to be up from getting paid nothing to lunch once a month.
That's a deal.
There we go.
Let's do that. And let's get some golf. Let's play some golf soon before training camp starts.
Yeah.
This is the mini camp starts tomorrow, everyone. So stay tuned on that one. This is the last day before very important practices tomorrow. Very important.
Extremely.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Hold on. No, yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.